What is going on today, guys? So today I want to talk about why using keyboard and mouse in Call of Duty sucks. So if you've ever used keyboard and mouse in Call of Duty, or you're primarily a keyboard and mouse player within Call of Duty, and you've played the newer Call of Duty games, that being Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 being the newest one, then you will notice that your aiming feels off compared to other first-person shooter games. In fact, you'll feel like you're less accurate in Call of Duty, and you'll feel like you are missing more shots within Call of Duty. And there's a reason for that. There's actually a function within the game, actually multiple functions within the game, that are causing you to miss shots and be less accurate within Call of Duty. Now, keyboard and mouse requires precision to be able to hit your shots within Call of Duty. That's just how it functions. You need to be extremely precise, because even the littlest mouse movement is precise with where you're aiming in the game. So the littlest mouse movement can kind of throw you off target if you're not putting your mouse exactly on target, if that makes sense for anyone who doesn't play keyboard and mouse at all or doesn't use keyboard and mouse at all. When there's stuff, or should I say functions within the game that are literally throwing you off target, you as a keyboard and mouse player have to be the one to counteract that. These functions within the game there's three major ones, and I want to break them down. The first one being there's a weapon sway that has a pattern that has a random starting point. So what I mean by this is when you are aiming down your weapon, you'll start to see that your weapon will sway a certain way. That sway goes in a certain pattern, and that pattern, when you first aim down your sights, starts in a different point every single time. So let's say you go to aim down your sights, you'll see that pattern, even though it's the same pattern every single time, it'll start in a different point. Maybe you'll start more towards the left, more towards the right, more towards the bottom left, more towards the bottom right, whatever the case might be. It'll start in a different point every time instead of starting in the center. What really should be happening is it should start in the center point every single time, but it's not, and that's causing you to be less accurate. The second major reason is the reticle on your gun moves the opposite direction when turning left or right. What I mean by this is, let's say you turn your gun, let's say first off you have a reticle on your gun, and you turn your gun left, your reticle will try to counteract and turn right, and vice versa. So if you turn right, your reticle will try to counteract and move left. This actually causes major inaccuracy when getting into gunfights, and it will cause you to be off target, especially at longer distances. This will throw you off target by a lot and make aiming so much harder for you in Call of Duty. Finally, your crosshairs will move around when strafing. Instead of your crosshairs staying center when strafing, so typically when you're strafing back and forth, your crosshair will still say center on the target. But what's happening is now in Call of Duty, when you strafe, your crosshair will move back and forth. And this causes major inaccuracy when getting into gunfights, especially if you're getting into a gunfight and you're trying to strafe back and forth to kind of dodge the enemy's bullets. Now, while you're dodging the enemy's bullets, you're also trying to shoot back at them. You won't be able to shoot back at them and be accurate enough to actually kill them because of your crosshair moving like crazy when you're strafing back and forth. Now, these are all things that both keyboard and mouse players and controller players experience. It's something that's in the game for everyone, not just keyboard and mouse players, but there's a reason to why it's worse for keyboard and mouse players. As I said, this is something that throws your aim off target, and you have to correct your aim as a keyboard and mouse player. You have to correct your aim back onto target and still stay on target at the same time. This is all something you have to do with your mouse movement. You have to be able to correct whatever function is messing you up. Maybe it's all three of them are messing you up at the same time. You have to try to correct that while staying on the target. That is a really hard task with such a precise input as keyboard and mouse, because there's just so much that you have to do at once. However, let's say you're a controller player now, even though you're still dealing with this, as a controller player, you have something called rotational aim assist, and that rotational aim assist will help to automatically correct those functions for you and to keep you on target and allow you to be able to stay on target and win that gunfight. So pretty much, if you don't know what aim assist is, as a controller player, you don't have as precise of a movement as keyboard and mouse. So because you only have analog sticks, so you need to have a way to be able to be more precise within gunfight in a first-person shooter game. The way they do this is by adding a mechanic called aim assist, where once you get close enough to the target, aim assist will help to guide you and pull you onto target, and will help you to stay on target when entering a gunfight. Now, controller players need this, especially if you are playing a cross-platform game of some sort. Like Call of Duty is a cross-platform game, meaning that console can play with PC and vice versa, and that means all consoles. That means PlayStation can play with Xbox, Xbox can play with PlayStation, PlayStation can play with PC, Xbox can play with PC, and vice versa. So you need to be able to have that aim assist in place to be able to help you and keep you on target, because you are nowhere near as precise as keyboard and mouse. If controller players didn't have aim assist, then keyboard and mouse would easily be way better. It would outperform controller in every way possible, and it will always be the better input, and it'll pretty much just dominate over controller in every scenario possible. And in every other first-person shooter game, especially competitive first-person shooter games, other than Call of Duty, keyboard and mouse is the dominant input within those games. Given controller can still keep up because of aim assist, you can still use controller. Controller is still a usable option. You're still able to use it and do good, but keyboard and mouse is just always going to be the better input and the more dominant input, but it's not going to be miles and miles and miles ahead of controller, because controller has aim assist. That aim assist really helps out, and so they need it. The problem is, going back to the functions within Call of Duty, these three functions that I had just talked about, while keyboard and mouse, as I said, has to manually stay on target and manually counteract these functions. With aim assist, it automatically keeps you on target and automatically counteracts these functions for you. So now you can start to see why one input is starting to be more dominant than the other, that being controller is starting to be more dominant than keyboard and mouse within Call of Duty, just because of these functions. If they were to remove these functions out of the game, these three functions that I talked about, if they just remove them out of the game completely, then it would be fine. The game would be balanced. Controller players need aim assist. They could keep aim assist. Having aim assist is perfectly fine, but with these functions, they just mess everything up and make playing keyboard and mouse so much harder. So much harder. So pretty much, if I were to recommend anything to make the game more balanced for both inputs, it would just be to remove these functions, remove everything that I talk about, which was the weapon sway that starts at a random point every time, the reticle moving and trying to counteract itself in the opposite direction when moving a certain direction. So if you move left, your reticle will try moving right. If you're looking right, your reticle will try moving left, and then of course your crosshairs moving and bobbing around like crazy when strafing. If they remove these three things from the game, for not only keyboard and mouse but for controller too, just completely remove it from the game, then both inputs I think will be balanced, as controller will have aim assist to be able to help out with controller players, and keyboard and mouse, just being keyboard and mouse, will have that precision and won't have anything messing up that precision. So therefore they'll be able to do good as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about for the most part, is just the fact that these functions need to get removed from the game, because it's really hurting keyboard and mouse players, and it's making playing keyboard and mouse in Call of Duty much harder, and making it honestly feel like you're put at a disadvantage, because you really are being put at a disadvantage because of this. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be balanced. There should always be balance. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video and you guys want more content like this, then please subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, then please give the video a like. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, bye, guys. Have a good one.